everyone. Welcome to another episode of Faith in Home Buying. Man, I'm loving equipping people of faith for the home buying process and been doing so, man, in big time overdrive this whole last year. And, those of you that have stuck with me throughout this whole year and 2 years, actually, thank you. Not only that, I am privileged today. I love having guests on. I know you guys like just hearing me by myself. I know. However, I love my guest, and today I have on one of my current clients that I'm actually actively working with. So this is a little bit different. I normally do it kind of at the end. We had the bow, and things are closed. But I felt that it would be a great story to share with someone that's just went through some major changes, in their home buying search. We connected, and then really it hasn't been that long. We just like literally last night, or actually not like last night, but just literally got in contract. And so Kiara, can you say hi to everyone real quickly?
Yeah, hi. I just got a tear when you said last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, I still like in disbelief. But hey, everybody.
Yeah, no, there's so many facets when it comes to home buying, home ownership. And those of you that know me, like I love every part of it, because I think every single part of it has a learning and teachable moment towards it. And in your case, Kiara, I think I want to discuss and kind of just open up the discussion with regards to before getting into even an offer acceptance, right? Leading up to that that point, there were a lot of things that had happened in your life as far as even changing on where you were going to be moving. I mean, there's a lot of things that happened. Whatever you care to share, just kind of leading up to the point that I met you, just to let someone know that, hey, just you may think that your plans are one way, many are the plans of a man's heart, but it's God's plans that will prevail, right? So many were your plans, but God's plan had to prevail.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, thank you for that, Tamika. So absolutely. I think home ownership has always been on my heart and something that I aspired to do. I moved from the Bay, from the East Coast 4 years ago. And, quite honestly, I felt really intimidated, like purchasing here, hearing like the horror stories that I've heard out in the market and coworkers and friends and things like that. And even attending a faith and home buying workshop myself, but just feeling like, intimidated again with the Bay Area. COVID hit, and I'm like, I live in a small apartment, and, God has really blessed me. I thank him every day for this place, and it's just perfect location. It's worked out perfect for me, but a space that I feel like I've outgrown. And after working from home for a year, I was like, feeling like I need to get out of this space. So, I decided, I'm going to move to Atlanta. I'm going to go and I'm going to buy a home there. I can get a home for cheaper, and, I'll be closer to the East Coast and my family in New York. And I went, and I met someone, a realtor that was recommended through a friend, and got a house, went through all of the steps, and it did not work out. It ended up not kind of coming through the way that I anticipated it happening. And, and I really, now in retrospect, at the time, I was devastated. I'm like, Lord, like, I really wanted this, and I wanted this house, and, I had the wallpaper picked out and all of these things that I was going to do. And, I feel like Jonah, like, going to Nineveh. It's like, you're going to get swallowed up, you're going to get swallowed up by that whale. Like, I really do feel that God was trying to show me that he wanted me to stay here, and that he had plans for me here with just believing. So, that's why we connected like earlier. It hasn't even been a couple of months, and, things have really already progressed. So, he did put it on my heart that the Bay is where I need to be. I went as far as getting my manager's approval. Like, I went through this whole ordeal,
You're ready to go.
To move.
Yes.
I had a home. Yeah. So it's just amazing to see and believe and trust and be patient and God's timing. And again, I'm still like in disbelief today. Like, Wow.
But I want to bring up a point though. Most people think exactly like you, and that was one of the reasons why even faith in home buying even started. I even thought about even doing it. It was Pastor Adam in 2000, because we go to the same church, and Pastor Adam, again, 2017, honestly, and he said it before, it was out of a little bit of frustration that people were going, out of the state, going to Texas, going to everything else, and he's like, well, wait a minute. Well, what about the base? So you mean to tell me like your connection even to the church and to the area was just because of job, now that you can work remotely? And so really it was out of a lot of frustrations like, God, you're a God that can create solutions. And in these solutions, as long as we agree, and I think an important part here too is, God, where do you want me? Not necessarily where do I want to be. I mean, where do I want to go, be around family, do whatever. God's like, okay, look, if you said that every single part of your life is mine, Lord, do with it what you will. I'll go wherever you want me to go,
Absolutely.
right? Like, it's like, okay, home ownership. I'm having faith for home ownership. It's a completely different mindset when you're looking at it from a faith perspective, right? Faith perspective means, all right, Lord, wherever you plant me, wherever you go, I know that's where I'm supposed to be. And I know that's where your grace is, versus trying to go outside the box and thinking that, well, this is what I really want. This is what I really need. This is the community that I want. Different approach to home ownership. And I just got to make that distinction, because where you thought you wanted to be, God's like, look, I'm going to pull the trigger on you on a different area, and I'm going to let you know where I need you to be. Because again, as Christians and as salt and light of the earth, wherever that community is, that's where your assignment is. That home is way more than just you having a roof over your head. It's a place for, number one, prayer. It's a place for hopefully being a light to that community. Hopefully, being planted in the kingdom on wherever he has you, as a gathering of saints, and wherever you are as a church family, as a church body as well. But it's also more to serving others, bringing people over. We do midweeks, we do life, in our places. And so even with that, how did you know that it was settled? Aside from, of course, getting the offer accepted, how did you know it was settled that the Bay Area is where you need to be after going through what you just went through in Atlanta?
Yeah, I mean, I really do feel like in my life, at least, God has a way of really closing doors. And like, I mean, there were so many. I mean, we only have half an hour, but if I could tell you all of the ways that God set it up so that Atlanta didn't work, it was just like one thing after another
Yeah.
after another that made it clear. I mean, at least in my heart, maybe it was timing. I wasn't sure if it was timing or if it was the place, but God made it very clear to me this year after connecting with Tamika, like, it's possible for me to be here. Like, don't allow the fear of, spending too much money or feeling like you're not going to be able to get in a home, or, the horror stories, it's going to take you forever. And, in this market right now, I was watching homes, appreciate month by month, like going up,
Yeah.
like just in a way that I felt like was uncontrollable. So I think that was my own fear. And God was like, release that, I'm telling you what I can do and where I have you planted. And I think I'm just amazed. And I was telling Tamika, I was telling you before, I knew that this was going to happen very quickly. I mean, I was still shocked to hear you call me last night, but like, God put it in my heart. I mean, I have text messages from girlfriends where I basically said, like, I need to start cleaning up my space. Like, I need to start getting rid of stuff because this is going to move really quickly. And they're like, Kiara, you may be in for the long haul, just be prepared. It could take you longer than you want. So, just be prepared for that. I'm like, I don't know. In my spirit, I feel like I need to start packing my things, donating stuff, like, really clearing my space. And sure enough, here we are.
Exactly. But see that, and that's what we're going to talk about in the next episode too. Making space, making room for the miracle to play itself out. And I say miracle. Look, miracles happen. I think the definition of miracles, especially in this space of home ownership. Number one, the world says that you have to make X amount of dollars and even to be a homeowner in the Bay Area. And we're talking about South Bay, East Bay, that doesn't matter, Bay Area, right? Like it's just not necessary. You're going to have to pay an exuberant amount over, or there's just nothing under $1 million over here and stuff. And that's absolutely false and is absolutely wrong. And the miracle of home ownership in this area, it's not necessarily getting a home under the list price, although it's great. It's happened, many a times in my, stories in miracle realm. But a lot of times it's a miracle being, number one, a single woman, okay, in the Bay Area, her own income, her own, funds, not necessarily even having family members help, right? Like being able to get a home that has space, has a garage in a great area, lower, HOA, in the East Bay, or in the area where, you're not necessarily crime ridden. You know what I'm saying? Like it's those are the miracles. The miracles sometimes with some people, it's actually getting their butts out of the fear zone and saying, you know what, I'm going to go for it, and God meeting you there. And so in the next segment, I do want to talk about that, like, the fear of going forward, but it's the preparation, because truth be told, when we hit this, even before we went to the house, and I dropped everything to go there. It was just something about going for this particular property. We're going to talk about that next segment. But before we even went there, you already were claiming this home as yours. Like we didn't even see the inside. You just saw the outside, drove past it a little bit, looked at and said, Tamika, this is it. This is going to be my house. I don't even have to go inside of it. Like, we're going to write an offer.
Yep.
And so we're going to talk about that, because there is something to that. Staking your claim and saying, you know what, God, this is it. I feel it, but I've already prepared myself for that space. And so when we come back here, let's talk about that a little bit and what that looks like. And so someone else can say, you know what, I'm going to prepare my space too. I'm going to clean out some stuff to make sure that, when God has the miracle, all I have to do is just step in it, jump in it, open that window, open that door, and walk through it. So stand by. This is Faith in Home Buying, Tamika Ellsworth. I'm here with special guest Kiara Hogan, and we'll be right back. All right. So I know, second half, Kiara, we're going to talk about the fear factor, because it's prevalent on those that I know and those that I see, and going, just it's prevalent. And everyone that I really look at for home ownership, or that comes to me, there's a fear factor there. Talk about that fear part, because someone needs to hear how someone else kind of got over that and pressed through it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think for me, at least, again, going through that experience before, it's kind of heartbreaking, but it really made me want to just listen into God even more and really lean on him. And in terms of decision making, I'm like, God, this is one of the biggest decisions I've ever made. It's definitely the largest financial decision I've ever made in my life. And yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, like there was a lot of things a lot of doubt, like, I'm single, I always thought, when I get my first place, I'll have a partner and we'll be able to split the mortgage and, hopefully have funds from family that can help me. And that wasn't the case. And I love my family, but they weren't able to really contribute with just other things going on. And so all of those things were kind of working against me. And I just felt like, God, I know that like, you're going to make this work. And I don't know how, I don't know where, but I know that you're going to do it. And, working with you, and we saw this place, I just scoured the outside. You were like meeting me. You raced down to kind of show me the place. And I just saw the outside. I saw the neighborhood, and I just got this sense of peace. Like, yep, this is it. I told you, yeah, we don't even need to go inside. I mean, I already know that this is my place. This is my home. Dana and I prayed outside, and we claimed it, before we left. And I was already sort of figuring out like how I was going to redo things and how I kind of wanted to arrange it. I already could see myself there. And I think that peace that comes like from God, right? And there's still fear, right? There's still the fear of the unknown. There's still the fear of your offer not getting accepted, or rejection, or, a deal not working out, and, all of that. But that's where God really fills in the gap for us. And, we just trust him. Like, you've called me here. Now I know that you've called me to this home, you know, and I'm going to be a good steward of what you've given me and really just honor this blessing and not take it for granted because, you know, like I said, I'm so honored and blessed to be a child of God and that he loves me so much that he would provide and extend my, you know, my home and, you know, give me that opportunity. So it's definitely something that I'm going to continue to lean on him on. Like, I think it's like a never ending journey. But yeah, I think you have to release a lot of that fear and doubt and say, God, just step in the gap and show up. And, you know, lo and behold, like I said last night, we got that call and it's just, I'm still like, you know, I have pizza for breakfast and I'm just like on a cloud.
You know, but, and it completely ties into, you know, just a verse. I know people have heard it before, but Hebrews, you know, 11:1, right? I like the TPT version of it. And I just want to read that real quick because honestly, this whole setup on the things that you didn't see, but preparing yourself, it describes it, you know, perfectly, right? Now, faith brings our hopes into reality and becomes the foundation needed to acquire the things we long for. It is all the evidence required to prove what is still unseen. This testimony of faith is what previous generations were commended for. Faith empowers us to see that the universe was created and beautifully coordinated by the power of God's words. He spoke, and the invisible realm gave birth to all that is seen. So ultimately, like calling those things that are not as though they are, you know, believing in those things before they even happen. And not necessarily, I ain't talking about the witchcraft things, like things that we just, but no, things according to God's will and God's purpose for our life. Not things out of the purpose, but things inside the purpose to continue on what God has for my life. And I think that's just, it's, you guys got to figure, you know, there's probably there was 8 offers, on this particular property. You know, I had a great conversation with the listing agent and understand that it's the faith part, but connecting yourself also too with an agent that at the very least matches your faith level or exceeds it. Exceeding would be better. Why? And why do I say that? Because sometimes, you know, although this wasn't that one, you got to figure there's a lot of I use a lot of, and I'm just going to say it, a lot of the prophetic in these business dealings, because I'm asking the Holy Spirit constantly, what do I need to say? How do we need to write this? What do we need to do in order to make sure that humanly what we can do accomplishes what we need to do, and you do the rest and fill the gap, right? Because, you know, we were going in at one particular point, right? But after talking about it and just the unction inside of me, just from speaking to the listing agent, I said, okay, convenience is a big thing for them. We had a conversation again. Hey, let's restructure it in a different way. What do you think? You know what, Tamika? I have peace with that. We restructured, giving them a little bit more time in the home, but less of the price. It worked. We weren't the highest offer. It might have been, you know, something where they would have countered back a multiple counteroffer situation, but they did not even counter. Number one, how it was written. Number two, it was the convenience that they already need. And we were already at the price point that was a decent enough price point. But again, convenience was very important to them. Talk about that, because you did make an adjustment on, you know, what we originally were going to go in at. But that just shows that it's not all about price all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked. I definitely was waiting for a counter offer. You know, our last home that we looked at and we almost got, you know, was a counter offer situation.
Was that close?
And so, yeah, really, really close. I'm like, Lord, like I was already anticipating like that they would send out multiple counter offers and that would just be that, you know, we'd have to start negotiating from there. So, you know, I think for me, I'm really blessed. You know, I live in a place that I've lived for 4 years and like I have a little more flexibility with the timeline. I'm not as, you know, I'd rather be in the right place that God has called me to, that I have peace over as opposed to just anywhere. And yeah, so for me, I was happy when, you know, Tamika, when you brought up the opportunity to just, you know, give them a more convenient time frame to like, you know, vacate, right? And so, you know, being able to make that concession and be able to get in at a lower price point to me, you know, was totally, totally worth it and not something I would have ever thought about doing myself. So I agree. You definitely need a realtor who is plugged in with the Lord as well and praying over these deals, because I don't think, I mean, God totally moved in this situation, and, you know, he used you, put us together, found us this place. And so super blessed.
Exactly. No, and just to let you know, my shoe that is white again.
Uh-oh.
That was an inside joke, you guys. We had went out to eat, and yeah, I had these white shoes on, and they weren't white after we left eating.
I blessed them with some hot sauce. It was a hot sauce packet, and you know, with COVID, who uses packets? You know, I just think that I'm so used to the bottles that the packet kind of just ripped and landed right on Tamika's white shoe. So I feel really guilty about it. I'll definitely get you some new shoes, or at least a Tide to Go pen.
Don't worry about it. Hey, just do a TikTok with me later on, and we're going to be okay.
I'm already thinking of the dance.
But you know, and to close this out, you know, the process, it can be stressful. It is stressful. You know, it's just a stressful a process all around. Why you mentioned on it, it's one of the biggest purchases, financial purchases that you do inside your life. When teaming up with a realtor, what are some advice that you can offer someone going through this process, you know, to make it less stressful? Because I hope that I do. You know, I want to have fun. I really enjoy working with the people that I do, and it does kind of suck when you get in the contract. Oh man, we're not going to hang out, you know, like on our Fridays and our Saturdays or maybe our Sundays, right? But what piece of advice can you leave us with, at least for a first-time home buyer that's going through this process? What's some words of wisdom on just to lighten their search, or to lighten their spirits?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think working with you, Tamika, at least for me, was super refreshing, right? As a believer, just knowing that you're going in with someone who is, you know, believing for you to have a home and wants you to help you get there. And you also just trust, right? Like, you know, as fellow believers, we're rooting for one another. And, right. You know, we want to see one another, you know, thrive. And I think that's really important. You know, having someone who's patient, having someone who kind of understands your wants and needs, and, you know, and then I think the knowledge, like, you know, I come from a background where, you know, I'm always negotiating, always trying to figure out deals, but you know the business. And I think you need someone who knows the market, knows the business, and has worked with people like me, you know, worked with young single women before. And I think, you know, you have that, when you have that track record, it's like, okay, God, I know you did it for this couple. I know you did it for that woman. I know you did it for that person. And I'm just, okay, it's my turn, right? And so I feel like I'm so glad that I get to be a success story. And, you know, I'm so glad that God connected us so that could happen, because you are definitely a part of my story. You know, I think connecting with you after my experience in Atlanta, you know, is what, you know, God used you to get me into the right place. So I think, you know, keep out on the faith, keep the prayers coming. You know, I've never prayed so much in my life, you know, I think, and just keep trusting in the Lord and in his timing, and just really remembering that a closed door is not a closed chapter, that God usually just has, you know, better in store.
That's good. And you're right, because just to close it out, you guys remember, this wasn't the first one that we put an offer on. Now, granted, you know, in this market, you're usually putting in 8 offers or whatever, but we put in 2. The first one, it was so close, but God's like, no, I got something a little bit better for you. And that's what you do. Shake it off, keep moving. And, you know, I thank you, Kiara. I thank you for just your trust in this and in the process. I'm super excited for you. We're not completely done yet. We're just getting started in this particular deal, but God opened up the door, and I know that it will continue on and be such a blessing. You get to the red bow, and we're going to celebrate. But thank you very much for coming on and sharing with everyone. And everyone, hey, if you can reach me, 408-561-7922, Tamika Ellsworth, or on TikTok, hey, realestate_T. Thank you so very much for tuning in. And until next time, this is Tamika Ellsworth with Faith in Home Buying, equipping people of faith for the home buying process. Thank you.